I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. We have a full house tonight. Okay. Our fifth select board member is on the way, but I will, before we get into new business, I'll take public comment. So we're going to receive oral communications from members of the public. Members of the public may address the select board for up to 3 minutes, longer with permission of the chair. The select board shall not engage in discussion on topics raised during public comment, but may choose to add the topic to a future agenda. This agenda segment will be limited to 15 minutes unless extended at the discretion of the chair. Do we have any public comment tonight? Hi, Dana, come on up.
Oh, sorry. You first. Thank you. It's good to see all of you here. And I'm Dana Packer, 227 Middle Road in Byfield. And I'm here because I'm requesting to be reappointed to the Essex Veterans Board of Directors. And I also, I don't want to throw a whole bunch on your plate at once, but I would like to put on a future agenda the possibility of establishing a Veterans Committee. I think that would be something that would be appropriate for all of us so that we can coordinate veterans events, so on and so forth. And then I do know that there was some correspondence sent to the board and to you, Alicia, personally, and I would like that to be read tonight, please. Thank you for your time.
Which correspondence are you referring to?
On some of the recommendations that were made for me to be appointed to the Essex Vets Board.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Hello.
Hello. Hi, my name's Dr. Nicole Bloor, 13 River Street. I'm here as a representative for Save Newbury Wildlife. We were instrumental in the select board adopting a non-eschar policy to be used on public property. So the second generation anticoagulant rodenticides were to be banned on public property. And we'd like to share our serious concerns with the continued use of waivers for the secondary generation anticoagulant rodenticides that are being used at the police station. We are certainly aware that indeed it is a public health emergency if the police vehicles are unable to be driven due to chewed wires. This is a known issue with rodents and vehicles, but we are also very much aware there are other pest control companies who are able and willing to use non-poisonous methods of rodent control and have done so very successfully. We have shared this communication with the select board, and our ask is that you consider hiring a new company, not only to use a non-poisonous method of rodent control, but also, more importantly, to do the things that have to be done to prevent a reoccurrence so that we don't have to do this next year. I would ask that, the burrows of the rats be found and destroyed, using dry ice, for example, that the vegetation be removed, that all sources of food be removed. I think without this, it's very likely that we will continue poisoning the non-target wildlife, the raptors, the foxes, etc. So that is our big ask, our big request.
Thank you. The select board, I think that I just want to make aware that the select board's role in this is to adopt the rodenticide policy, which we did. So the town has a rodenticide policy. The public health issue, the select board has no jurisdiction or oversight over public health. That's the Board of Health. They're a duly elected board. The select board cannot dictate to the Board of Health. Please reach out to the Board of Health and through the health agent possibly to ask that you get put on their agenda. But the select board, we just don't have the tools in our toolbox to do what you're asking. So that being said, is there any other public comment tonight? Going once? Going twice? Okay. Thank you all for coming. We have a pretty packed agenda. I'm still missing one select board member. The first item on the agenda is to reorganize. We're gonna reorganize tonight. I would like to wait for a full board to reorganize, if that's okay for the board. Do you want me just to,
Do you wanna get on to some of the?
skip down to some of this?
Yep.
Stuff that may take quite a bit to, because I know the select board member is on her way. She reached out to me and said she's coming, so. I think I'm gonna skip over a few items. And ask,
You
I
wanna go to a
guess,
few of the new business licenses
yeah, I think,
down the bottom?
let's start with, who's here? Steve, are you here to talk to the Byfield Community Car Show? You wanna do that next? Okay, so we have Tony Matthews and Steve Fram, co-chairs of the Byfield Car Show Community Public Property Use Request Form to use the Central Street Fields parking lot and field house on August 15th, 2025, from 2 p.m. until dusk for the annual car show. There's a requested rain date of August 22nd, 2025.
That's it, it's the same thing we did last year at the soccer fields, worked out really good. And Heidi and Robin asked us if we do it the night before Newbury Town Day and make it sort of like the first event of Town Day
Oh, that's cool.
and get some people interested and maybe they'll show up on Saturday.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the Byfield Car Show Community Public Property Use Request Form.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Have you cleared the date with the rec
Yes,
committee?
we're all set with the rec committee.
Okay, perfect. Any questions from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm still waiting on Leslie because I wanted to speak that we have a new board tonight and I wanted to thank Selectman Packer for his 3 years of service. But I kind of wanted to wait for a full board for that, so I'm gonna say it now and I'll say it again when we have a full board. Newburyport Lions Club Yankee Homecoming Road Race, High Road to Rolfs Lane to Ocean Ave on July 29th from 6:15 to 7:30. Somebody here from the Lions Club, come on up.
My name is Roger Jones. I live in Newburyport, so I'm here as representing the Lions Club.
Thank you.
This will be the third year that we've had this particular course where we go out down Rolfs Lane and back
Yep,
to complete our 10-mile race.
it's only the 10 mile that you use that, not the 5K, right?
That's correct.
The 10K, rather,
Yes.
yeah. Okay,
But as far as I know, we had no issues. We had, your fire and police were both stationed out by the airport, so you could get,
Leslie Late Matthews.
okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Seconded? Second. Okay, discussion. Leslie, this gentleman is here from the Yankee Homecoming Road Race?
To go down Rolfs Lane.
Correct. So, continue.
okay.
No, did you have
It's been
anything more
approved?
that, no, do you have anything more that you want to tell us?
No, nothing unless you
Okay.
have questions.
Well, I have a motion and a second. We're gonna have to go down the board. Do you have any questions? Patrick, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
I have a question.
Yes.
Just real simple. When you come on to Hanover Street, where are you coming from?
They're coming right down, High Street to High Road, and then,
So you're coming right out of Newburyport?
that is correct,
Okay,
and then head right back,
that was my only question.
Do you have any questions? No, and the police signed off on this, they signed off on all your public,
I believe they did.
they did, I saw it.
Yes.
Yeah, everything's in order.
Fire and police have signed off.
Yeah. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna go back now, under new business. Each year after an election, we reorganize, whether the board changes or not. And again, I'd like to thank Selectman Packer for his 3 years of service, with the board. He's been very active with the veterans, Eastern Essex veterans, has done good work with them, and I really want to thank him on behalf of all of our veterans for the work that he's done. I'd like to welcome Selectman Heffernan now. This is his first term with us on the Select Board. He does come from the Finance Committee, his experience with the Finance Committee, the Planning Board, the Rec Committee. And we look forward to having Patrick on the board.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. So after every election, we reorganize. So we need to re-vote the board. This is a board vote, elects a chair, a vice chair, and a clerk.
New
We're
guy
gonna
gets
do-
the clerk.
We're gonna do, we're gonna do chair first. I would like to move that Vice Chair DeMayo move into the chair's position. If I have a second on that,
I'll second it.
I'll second that. Okay, any discussion on that?
Can you step back?
Yeah, I would like to have
Relaxing
new
time?
leadership.
Okay.
I think it's time. I've been chair for 2 years.
Oh, more. You
Two
with
terms.
JR?
Two terms. Terms.
2 terms.
I said years.
Six.
Time flies.
It flew by, Alicia, it just flew by.
I think it's time. So, I have a motion and a second. I guess all in favor of Mr. DeMayo being chair? Aye.
I abstain.
Unanimous. It's unanimous. Thank you.
Lucky you, Bill. Thank you, Jeff.
So we're gonna change seats because we're gonna move and you're gonna go into the vice chairmanship next.
Oh, here we go.
We go musical chairs.
Musical chairs.
Here. And
Did you get sick of sitting next to me?
no. It's just time for new leadership.
Don't forget your jacket.
I'll get it on the way out. Thank you. Because I would forget it.
Okay, so the next part of the reorganization would be the vice chair. And I would like to nominate Alicia Greco as vice chair.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
No.
Sounds good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain too.
Leslie, what do you think?
I'm good with
Clerk.
it. No,
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Leslie.
no. It's always the new guy. Patrick, I already warned him yesterday. It's not that big of a deal.
Okay, thank you.
You don't wanna be on the leadership team? Because I'll second that nomination. If Jeff, did you nominate Leslie?
Yes.
He did.
I'll second that. Let's have a discussion
Okay.
about it.
Good.
You don't wanna be on the, stay on the
Well, I
leadership?
just thought somebody else might like to have a little fun too. No, I'll do it.
Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you, Leslie.
I'm really good at it too.
Oh, we
you know.
know.
Yeah, you're
All
good.
those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
As long as I show up on time.
That's a given.
Okay, so now we.
Okay, next is reorganization of the external committee assignments. We have Eastern Essex Veterans District, we'll go through them all, Merrimack River Beach Alliance, the Triton Building Committee, the Triton District Communications Committee, and the Whittier Tech Municipal Working Group. So, starting with the Eastern Essex Veterans District, I know that Dana was really interested in continuing with that. You know, we've got Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 115 is Veterans Benefits. And it's pretty clear that, and I'll quote from it, Section 11, in every district established under the authority of Section 10, there shall be a board composed of the mayor or his designee of each city, if any, as may be included in the district, and the chairman of the Board of Selectmen. So that defaults to me as of tonight, and I intend to fill that position on that board. Dana, I like the idea that you had about the Veterans Organization here, or the Veterans Committee, and I'd also like to say that before I joined the Select Board, I was the Veterans Grave Officer for Newbury. That's also required by Massachusetts General Law. Every municipality has to have a Veterans Grave Officer. And part of the most significant thing in that position is ordering the flags that mark the graves for Memorial Day and Veterans Day, and getting involved with Wreaths Across America. Right now, Dennis is handling that. Dennis Palazzo is handling that. He took it over when I became a Select Board person. So if you're interested, I offer that to you if you're interested in that. You don't need to answer that tonight, just think about it, okay?
For Dana.
For Dana, yes, for Dana.
3 years into it, I think he has a substantial background to carry on with that mission.
There's no question about his background in the 3 years that he did it. There's no question about what the Mass General Law says, Leslie.
You need to tell him.
If I may, just interject for a
Sure.
moment. The chair of that board is not a Select Board member. And the person that represents West Newbury is not a Select Board member. There's no I have an email right here from Michael Flynn, who's the chair of that board of directors. And there is no requirement.
Dana, come up to the podium, please.
Thank you. Dana Packer, 227 Middle Road. There is no requirement of the person that represents the town of Newbury, with the exception of you need to be a resident of town of Newbury, to represent the town in that position on that board. So I'm not sure about the Mass General Law, but Michael Flynn sent me an email talking about, just about that topic. And well, it says here, as a follow-up to our conversation, the requirements for participating on the board of Eastern Essex Department of Veteran Services are as follows. 1, reside in the town in which you're representing, and 2, be appointed by the town select board to represent that town. Typically, the appointed person is a veteran or has strong ties and knowledge of the military and veterans community. Best regards, Michael Flynn. So he is the chair of that board. And I just want to reiterate that there is no requirement that the person that serves for the town of Newbury be a selectman for the town of Newbury.
Let me just continue to read, okay? Because I stopped. The chairman of the Board of Selectmen is or its designee of each of the towns. So it's up to the chair.
Of course it is. Bill, it's your choice.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing that point whatsoever. It's your choice.
Dana, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, may I?
Sure.
When you were on the Essex Veterans, was there opportunity for other, volunteer opportunities for other residents and veterans in the communities to volunteer their time and participate
From
in
Newbury?
other ways, from any of the communities?
Yeah.
Always.
I believe that every year, the entire board gets reappointed.
No, I mean besides the board. Is there other opportunities besides sitting on the board? Can you volunteer in any other way?
Well, as I had requested about the Newbury Veterans Commission or committee that I would like to establish. There are, actually, the person, it's Bob, his last name's off the tip of my head, but he's a Rowley resident, and he has established that same committee in Rowley.
Bob Snow?
No, not Bob Snow. But he attends a lot of our meetings, but he does not represent, he's not the town of Rowley representative. But there, of course, there's always opportunities for people to volunteer in many
So I
ways,
think,
shapes, and forms.
I think your idea and your vision for forming this committee for the town of Newbury is good, and I think it's well-intentioned. I think you should bring it to the Eastern Essex and see how they form it.
I already have.
Okay,
Discussion?
so Massachusetts general law is clear. It's the chair, and if the chair chooses to designate,
I
he'll
totally understand
designate.
that.
Okay, yes, Leslie?
With Dana's background, not only, from the select board and being the participant for the veterans, he is a veteran. So, and I know that you're a veteran too, Bill, but we have to look at that. He has a better insight that, you, Bill, now you've become the chair and you're gonna take on a load of other things.
I'm prepared to do that, Leslie. Have you forgotten the fact that I established the town of Newbury as a Purple Hat town?
No?
I did that. I did that as a lay person, not a select board person.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay? So, I
Okay.
mean, the law stands, and
I think this would be the opportunity to allow people from outside the board to participate in what we do.
So there's plenty of other opportunities to volunteer on boards and committees in the town of Newbury other people can be appointed to. But Massachusetts general law is clear. The chair serves or the chair's designee. And in this instance, the chair chooses to serve. The chair is a decorated war veteran. I think we should give him an opportunity. Okay, the next thing is the
So if I'm not
Merrimack.
mistaken, we don't even need a vote on this because
No,
it
there's no
conforms to
vote.
the law.
Right, so we need
Let
to,
me just say this, Dana would be the obvious choice if Bill did not, for whatever reason he wants to do this, wanna do it.
Sure,
So Dana, that's,
sure.
Bill wants to do it. And that to me, I guess, is, I'm not gonna take that away from someone that is the new chair that wants to do it, just not gonna do it, so.
and just so you're also aware that Mr.
And
Heffernan,
certainly,
Mike
I
Gregg,
think
is
Dana
a
can
veteran as well.
help Bill, so.
Yeah, and he is a veteran as well, so we have
And if
two
you wanted
veterans
it,
on
You'd
it.
have first crack at it too, as far as I'm concerned, the board members would have.
It's always been a board member in the town of Newbury, as long as I've been aware, it's always been a member of the board that served on that committee.
All right, the Merrimack River Beach Alliance.
I just want to, thank you so much for your time, but a board vote is required on Mr. DeMayo becoming on the,
No, the board vote would be required if he chose a designated.
well, I'm just reading off your own agenda, that's all. Thank you for your time, appreciate it.
All right,
The Merrimack River Beach Alliance.
Jeff, you've always historically been served on that for I don't know how many years. Are you willing to continue to serve? I nominate Selectman Walker to serve on the Merrimack River Beach Alliance.
Second that.
Any discussion?
No?
Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
The Triton Building Committee.
So this is a committee that I've sat on. I would like to nominate Selectman Heffernan to sit on this one. If you take the assignment.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any
I have the motion
discussion?
to second.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, Devin's died hard.
Your seat has changed,
I know.
darling.
Okay,
Any
sorry.
discussion?
Does this have anything to do with school committee or DCC? Or is it just the Triton Building Committee?
Right, for the rebuild or refurbishment of Triton.
So shouldn't Selectman Ackerman sit on like the DCC to bring them up to speed? Do you do that?
I was on the DCC for the 2 years I was on the finance committee.
Okay.
So let's get back to the Triton Building Committee. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Now the Triton District Communication Committee, the DCC.
So, Patrick, I guess, and Leslie, yep.
We have
I would
two-
do it
two-
again.
We have two representatives,
stay on
it?
two representatives on this committee, right?
Yeah,
Are you stepping down?
No. You
Good.
still wanna be on?
Yes.
so Leslie,
Jeff?
no, well, Patrick wants it too, so,
I don't mind stepping down, Patrick. I think he'd be good at it.
I appreciate that, Jeff. I know a lot of people on there, and it does actually go well with the building committee.
Yep.
It's gonna be a lot of the same issues.
If Leslie still wants it, I don't mind stepping down.
Any more discussion? Leslie, you're okay with that?
Yep.
Patrick?
all right, so
Hearing none, all in favor?
of Leslie and.
Leslie and Patrick.
We need a motion.
Who made the motion and who seconded it?
I think Jeff made the motion,
Okay.
and I think Alicia seconded it. Yes?
Yes,
I'll third it.
all in favor? Yeah, so he has to, you say all.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Whittier Tech Municipal Working Group. This is the group that I've been involved with, along with Tracy. This is a collaborative effort between Whittier Tech and NECC.
I nominate Bill, you should be still involved.
Yeah.
yeah, I'll second that.
Any discussion?
No, I think the chair should have sit on this, it's the mayors of the community sit on this, I think that chair is an important position for this,
And we'll talk about this a little bit later on the agenda.
okay,
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
aye,
Okay, next, the Lower Green Local Historical District Study Committee is gonna give us an update and proposed bylaw review. Elizabeth, Elizabeth is gonna do that, or you're gonna?
Apologies, Elizabeth can't make it this evening, so
Robert's gonna do
I'm
it.
standing in.
yeah, why don't you
Thank
come up
you.
and explain to the board your role, and, cause we have a whole new board here now.
Yes, right, okay. So if I can draw your attention, we have a PowerPoint presentation. But just before that, I'll just say it's short because I know you've got a full agenda, 13 slides. We'll go through the contents. We're going to go from when the select board set up the study committee, the membership of the committee, the timeline of what we've been doing up to date, the report, the outline map, and then the timeline in order to present the case to the Massachusetts Historic Commission, and then on to the voters to vote for it at the next town meeting. And then after that, Q&A from you. Okay, so first slide. This just establishes the background, and by the way, we'll make sure you've all got copies of all this to read in due course. Just sets the background to where we were, where we are, and what we want to do. And it just, as you can read there, stresses the importance of the area historically, architecturally, and as a common space, an open space for people to enjoy. So let's let you digest that. And just back on that, there is currently no protection on the Lower Green at all. It can be used, developed for any reason. So what we did with the study committee set up, and with the guidance set down by the Massachusetts Historic Commission, which they set up the rules, which is very extensive, which we have to abide by in order to prepare the report to present to them. So just to give you an outline, the map there shows all the historic districts in the state of Massachusetts. And there are 220 of them in 100 communities that are classified as local historic districts. And as you can see, Newbury up in the top there doesn't have any. So if you consider the Upper Green, that is not a local historic district under the Massachusetts Historic Commission. It is on a register. But a register is just a name, it's on a register. It is not, doesn't form a local historic district within the guidance set by the Massachusetts Historic Commission, which provides a lot more regulation on how it can be developed going forward.
Robin, may I ask you a question?
Sure.
So there's no protection on the Lower Green.
None.
So if a developer wanted to come in at any point in time and purchase the property and turn it into whatever they wanted to do, that would be, fundamentally, it would be
Subject to
like in a
all the-
real, just a regular real estate transaction.
Yes, and indeed, that has happened in neighbouring areas around the Lower Green over the last 20 years. Otherwise, there isn't any. I mean, so.
And the Upper Green doesn't fall into a historic protected?
The Upper Green is on a register. So it appeared, it went on, I think, in 1986. So, which is a completely separate body. There is a different thing. It means that the properties can be developed, but there is a process to go through it, but it doesn't provide the strict rules that a local historic district does.
Okay.
And you'll, I mean, we have some charts giving the difference between the two, but it's just a list, and it says these building or this area has some historic or architectural significance, and indeed it's more an emotional connection with it, which would make it more difficult to, but not impossible to develop it. The Lower Green has no, it's not on any register.
But it's not
Even
so-
the schoolhouse in the middle of the green is not on any register.
But it's also not so much even the town-owned property, which would have to go to town meeting and all the sundry stopgaps, but it's gonna be all the properties around it.
Right.
That would
which-
have to be an
well,
agreement to it.
Well, no, would have to be an agreement to take this, they're gonna put regulations on their property, on their homes, and what they can do with it, and what they can, and Robin's gonna explain that.
I'll explain on that.
It's not so much, I mean, it is the green, but it's also more of the private homes, in my estimation, too.
Okay.
Correct.
This extends to.
The parts that face the road.
Yeah, we'll come
The
on to the
front,
map and
all the
everything
front
else.
doors.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yep.
Thank you. Right, okay, so that just gives the background of the state of Massachusetts, which is fairly rich in a lot of historic history. As I said, 220 of them. So moving on, the select board set up the committee, of which I'm the chairperson. I forgot to announce who I was at the beginning for the purposes of the record. Robin Eyre through 6 Newman Road. And we also have membership from two several bodies of historical note, namely the Historic New England Museum of Old Newbury as well. So that was the constituent parts. The purpose of the study committee is to go through and design the area, to comment on the architectural side and the historic side, and indeed that forms part of our mission statement, which is there. We've spent a couple of years investigating it. We've come up with a report, and it considers the historic significance of all the properties, the architectural structure, and everything else to do with it. And if we move on, just changing tack at the moment, the process of going through becoming a designated area is long and complicated, involves a lot of dealing with various bodies. At the moment, we're standing right at the bottom orange or yellow square there. We've gone through the first areas, we've conducted surveys, preliminary reports, so now we have done our report in draft form. We're about to submit it to the Massachusetts Historic Commission and the Planning Board, the Newbury Planning Board, which is vitally important. Both those things. There'll be a Q&A from them. They'll come back to us and they'll say either this flies or it doesn't, or we need you to do this or that or the other. So we're at the crucial stage of just finishing off the actual wording of the report. Okay, and then after that, it comes back, it goes to a public hearing. Obviously the select board get involved at this stage.
That was my next question.
Yeah, oh yeah, I mean, yeah, you'll be getting as well the report at the same time as the planning board. Then there's a public hearing, and there has to be 60 days notice. That's why, because of various reasons, we couldn't get it into this year's town meeting ticket, partly because there was change of personnel at Massachusetts Historic Commission. The programme person left and there's a new one in anyway. So it'll go in for next year. So we have still the rest of this year to have public hearing, discourse with yourselves or any interested parties to make sure everyone's on side. Then it goes to town meeting. At the town meeting, it has to pass by 2/3. That is a crucial factor. And then after that, hopefully. So as I said, we're...
The special, or the hearing, the special hearing, will that be solely with the planning board, or will it be with the select board, or a combination of both?
Public hearing is, I guess, public. Firstly, the select board and the planning boards will have gone through it all first anyway. The public hearing, certainly they will be able to attend. In terms of who's moderating or steering it, I think that's the study committee at this stage, so. But all
Whichever board takes leadership on the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Sure.
It's not, no, it won't be coming to the select board or the planning board.
Okay.
The Lower Historic District Study Committee holds its own public hearing.
Right.
They're an appointed board. They
Okay.
hold it themselves.
That's after we received all input from the select board, the planning committee, and Mass Historic.
Right.
All those comments have been incorporated in, and that's what goes to the public hearing.
Just a quick question, the
Thank you, Lon. Yeah.
timeline from the town meeting vote to the Attorney General review to the final, like, what's the track record for how long that takes? And I'm asking because if someone votes at town meeting and approves, how long until this actually comes into effect? Roughly.
I don't know.
8 months is historically.
8 months?
It's immediate, I believe.
It should be immediate, but I don't know.
We just
whether
haven't
it's-
set up there's a commission that gets set up.
Okay.
And we're working with that now, and Robin will probably talk about that.
So yes, after it's done, and assuming it's approved, then a commission has to be set up by the select board, which is between 5 and 7 members, and which will take membership from either the planning board or the Newbury Historic Commission, which will then be the board that oversees all decisions relative to the Lower Greens Historic District.
So roughly 8 months between town meeting vote and actually coming into effect. Correct?
Yes, so not,
It's effective.
yes, that's probably
Good, but I just a sense of, so people know when they vote at town meeting that this isn't like they walk out the next day and this is in effect.
No, because there is a process, the select board have to meet at the next one to solicit or appoint the 5 to 7 members required to oversee.
We'll have to create a commission.
Right, okay.
Okay,
Robin, how many homes are involved?
can you wait a second, we'll get,
Okay.
coming on to that.
Good.
Right, okay, so the next one goes through the timetable of where we've got to date, which shows largely, some of you will know this, some of the newer members may not, where when it was formed, we've had initial discussions with the locals, a wider audience. We've held informal sessions in Plum Island, Byfield and Newbury to get a wider view, and we'll come on a bit later on a few slides as to findings on that. And then we move down to the study report and draft, which is here. Okay. So the next one is the results of a survey we did following the meetings in the Plum Island, Newbury and Byfield. Most obviously, as you can see, the responders tend to be from the neighbourhood, which is designated Old Town, and you can see the results on the other side there about preservation, obviously fairly overwhelming, nothing unusual about any of that. And then the next one did a survey result of just asking general questions. Do you know what a historic district is? Yes, no, and a bit. Which we've proceeded to do. A lot of what we've been doing is explaining it. Then finally we asked, would you vote for this?
So when you say neighborhood survey, what neighborhood, is this all of them?
All of Newbury. One of the main criteria of the Massachusetts Historic Commission is that we have made a public outreach to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And of course, the way Newbury is spread out into different locations, we had to hold it in different places as well, so that everyone is tuned in.
So this is the summary of all three
Some of them all.
boroughs, for lack of a better word.
The survey wasn't large. It went out on a QR reader, and
Yeah.
we had questionnaires placed everywhere. But and indeed, I think we're going to follow up with another one as well. But it gave us the general trend as to overwhelming support and from locals and others as
Do you
well.
remember the number of respondents?
29, which is pretty low. But then,
That's from the QR reading.
yeah. So we'll continue doing more work on that.
Does your QR reading come up on the Newbury network?
Oh no, Lon, where does it come up? It's a QR reader. Where did it come up?
So
That's a
that,
good
you
question
know,
there.
just as you're standing
Or
here
when did- I'm not sure.
explaining to us tonight, what's going on,
We should get it.
if you had a QR reading,
Survey
uh,
monkey.
you could probably
Doesn't
get
make any
a
sense.
lot more potential
We
people
did.
that would
I
be
mean,
interested.
We got it on the fire
Website.
department's website.
Survey Monkey is the vehicle we used, we
we
put
use
flyers
Survey
out,
Monkey.
we handed them out in the meetings, we had them in the senior center, town hall, the library. I thought we had a newspaper article, but, to try to get people to take it,
I think,
but
excuse me, I think you said that you intend
right.
to do it again, to survey again.
Right.
we wanna do it again.
Yeah,
So that might
But
be.
if it runs the same course,
Well, they.
it's gonna get the same
knowing-
rating.
Knowing what they got for results, I'm sure they're gonna try to get better results for the second time.
A wider, cast a wider net.
yeah.
Tell
But
them
if
about
you-
the distribution, Robin.
Like the
What we
QR
wanna do in
readings
the
are
fall,
so
or-
important, that they happen in real time. That if we had a QR reading for your presentation this evening, it would go out to everybody that's watching, even if they go back on YouTube,
Well,
and they could take the QR
But
reading
the
off of
problem with
that.
that is you don't have the survey completed yet, correct?
one of the things we tried to do was to get it out in the as a handout in the tax return when it's sent out. The cost of doing that was prohibitive and not within the budget. We don't really have a large budget at all, but I mean they do use that as a means to get into everyone's home. So the actual cost of printing and the whole thing was we're into several.
Too many dollars.
Yeah, and then it wasn't worth it. So the QR reading system was adopted as a way of doing it,
Right.
which we need to
So,
build on that.
I think we're not gonna resolve
No.
the survey, the suggestions right now. Let's move on to the presentation.
Absolutely, okay, thank you, right, the important thing is now the map, where we are. In the middle there, number 9 is the lower green. And the object of the exercise, because Massachusetts Historic Commission are keen that this is a district, the word is district, historic district, not just an old house like the schoolhouse in the middle there. This is an area which they want to, so it's cohesive. So what we decided in doing this is put a position that if you're standing in the middle of the green, which is number 9 on there, and you're looking around 360 degrees, what properties are within visual of that green, within the visual envelope of that green, of that space. Now, some of them extend quite far up Old Town Hill, which is Trustees' property number 12, but it is the sort of backdrop to the green, as it's the high point. And others go along, which are owned by Greenbelt. To Jeff's question, there are 24 properties, of which 15 have buildings on them. So some of the properties there don't have any buildings on them. But they're incorporated because it's the district. For example, the Old Town Hill have about 3 plots there and a few others, and we've even put in the landing. All the people who in that area have, we've discussed the whole project, what it enables, how it affects them, and everything else, and they're all buy in pretty well. In fact, we've even talked to all the people in contiguous properties around it as well. So even though they're not in it, and they're very pro it. There are a couple there that are on the green there that are not in it. One is because there's current work, restoration work being done on it. It's in the report, and which is still yet to be completed. In fact, today there's still building material there. The other property on the corner of Cottage Road there is actually a split property with an older building on it and a brand new building. Massachusetts Historic Commission came back to us, we refer all these things to them, and said they do not like They don't like splitting a property lot where you can pick, because a building's an old one and another was a new one, where do you draw the line between the old and the new across a lot? So they're interested in the whole boundary of the lot. So it was happily excluded on their guidance. Secondly, the old building on that lot has a lot of covenants on it anyway, which have been laid down. So there is the a particular area. Within it, there are 2 first period houses. 50% of them are pre-1800, and all of them, with the exception of one, are pre-1900. So there's only one after 1900. But effectively, 50% are older than 1800. So they all qualify. There are also 4 monuments and historic markers within that area as well, recognising the Lower Green and its history. So the next important thing is then we move into the bylaws, and this is the bit where everyone takes an interest in, and then this is where we're currently just finalising draft mode with consultation with the planning board, and we'll eventually go to the Massachusetts Historic Commission. So I think a copy has been sent to the select board as well.
When do you figure your study will be finalized?
End of this month. Final slide.
Okay.
It's the final. That's just the.
My eyesight isn't that great,
Oh, yeah,
so
well,
like the
I'll make sure you get a
smaller
copy.
words I.
Make sure you get a copy. The next slide says where we are on the future timeline. So that's just the bylaw listing that shall all be incorporated in it. So we've pretty well done all the study plot. So as it says, May 31st, the draft report to Massachusetts Historic Commission and the Planning Board. And then we're going to have some more public outreach on Newbury Day, just sort of information and, as the chairman said, to get more feedback. And then we have public hearing, and then April will be the proposal to the town board. So,
Prior to the annual town meeting.
at the annual town meeting, as I said, 2/3 majority required. So that's it.
Beautiful picture.
So that schoolhouse. And by the way, just to sort of finish off in our research, we found a lot of interesting facts in the research in going through this. One was a proposition put forward that the Lower Green could possibly be pasture pre-colonial exploitation of the area. So it wasn't necessarily cleared by the early colonists, and could have had it could have been an open pasture area dating back several thousand years by the Pawtucket and the Penobscot.
The indigenous people.
Although nothing actually to prove it as such, but it could. But also the other thing is the Lower Green schoolhouse there. In a survey in 1990 done by Forbes, there were 190,000 single-room schoolhouses in the United States nationally. There are only 400 left that are complete single-room schoolhouses on their same location, and we have one of them. 400 out of 190,000. The rest have either been torn down or moved or changed for
Nationwide.
nationwide, yes.
Well,
And
So-
thank you for the new windows and the new roof.
Yes.
Yes.
And just on the interesting point that on the new roof, and because of rules and regulations, which is a bit of a hot topic, is that the new roof is made of a composite material, fire resistive, and it has
It's not organic.
It's not organic, it's not cedar shingles. There are views that went back a few years that everything had to be put back in exactly the same construction manner. Massachusetts Historic Commission, everything, they've moved forward and they have adopted new materials where relevant and new construction, and that's an example of it, where it's relevant. So,
Were the indigenous people seasonal, or did they live did they live here,
no,
It was seasonal, yeah.
but they had like a summer planting area, so they would come in. I mean, most people sort of thought they were just hunting and fishing, but no, they were.
Most of them were down Stackyard Road out on the peninsula, and I'm
Yes.
thinking,
And
it's a
indeed,
hall.
and indeed, in some of the reports, and there was one that was on public television, that they actually built stone walls before the settlers did, had this stone wall. And one of the reasons was when they came to burn the crops away to put in, is the stone walls kept the fire in the contained area. I mean, who'd have thought it?
it had to be a very calm day.
Absolutely. But, so that's
Not like this spring.
Anyway, so that's the update report. You'll get the whole thing towards the end of this month, hopefully. And any other questions?
Not a question, but it's a lot of detailed work that the team has done. It's great.
Thank you for your
It's a
work
great
on this.
package. Thank you so much.
As usual, your presentation has been very good and made for everybody to be able to understand it more clearly.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robin.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for all you do.
Very good.
Okay, next we had a public property request from William Blackwood. He declined to come to the meeting.
Nope. Is this
He's here?
Mr. Blackwood?
Oh, you're here.
I am here.
Excellent, excellent, sorry.
I'm real deaf, so you're gonna have to yell at me.
Okay, you need to identify yourself by name and your address, please.
Say again?
Your name and your address.
My name's William Blackwood. I live at 250 High Road, Newbury, Mass.
Okay. How about if I read it?
Go for it.
William Blackwood, public property use request form to float a 9-foot mini tugboat in the Upper Green Pond for a photo op with his grandchildren, 1 or 2 times between June 1st, 2025 and July 1st, 2025. He wants to pick a good day to do it, correct?
Correct.
Love the idea.
What's the idea?
Love that
Oh,
idea.
yeah, just a photo op. I built the boat in Newbury. I've lived in Newbury for like 40 years. Keeping the tradition alive and be a nice spot to get a little photo.
Thank you for addressing any of the concerns that was sent to you about it, okay? We were worried about discharge into the upper green water, the pond, the
Yep.
draft. We were worried about a trailer going across the lawn, they're gonna carry the boat to the water. No oil emissions coming out of the boat, so it should be a good time for your grandchildren.
Should be a slam dunk. The only question is, you're asking for a date, and I don't wanna set a date and have it a monsoon. I'm looking for a sunny afternoon. I'll be in and out in probably less than an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half.
And I think you answered the question already about the depth of the tugboat was like 9 inches, the draft,
Yeah,
yeah,
with the propeller down.
with the propeller down. No
I've actually
disturb,
walked through the pond before and it goes up to your waist.
you walked into the pond?
Retrieving my children's boats when they were younger, so I've been there.
The little boats.
Is it pretty muddy or what?
It's yucky. It's
yucky?
really,
I thought
it's
so.
nothing you wanna do.
And I think you answered the question about the grass in the green, about moving, launching, or removing the tugboat. And I think because you said it's an air-cooled motor, there are no potential environmental impacts. So And the other question you had was, you can buy a Newbury flag at the library.
Took me 2 months to get that answer.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
I'll get one.
Okay,
There's actually, my family's tartan is on the sailboat too, on the tugboat. Our tartan is a plaid that's specific to your name in Ireland, so that was sort of a cool feature on it too.
What are the colors?
It's green, purple. It may be one of those deals where you send $59.95 away. We bought in.
you got it. All right.
So I have a question. Well, do we want to entertain
Please,
a
what should be,
motion?
yes, well, let's have a motion and then we have a discussion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Now we can have discussion.
Life jackets.
Yeah, are the kids gonna be on the boat? Is your grandchildren gonna be on the boat in the water?
Yes,
They will be sitting in the boat?
yes.
And you built this boat by yourself? With them? You built the boat yourself?
Yeah,
Well done. The picture, I mean, it's 9 feet long, right?
that's correct.
You walked in the middle, how are you gonna get it into the pond?
It weighs about 200 pounds, so I'll have my
Gonna walk
brother-in-laws
it
will
in.
pick it up like nothing. Yeah, well, I'm not gonna risk putting a trailer on the green, it's a little
Yeah.
damp there, so there'll be no environmental impact at all.
Perfect.
Bill, you don't have life jackets on?
Full life jackets,
That's it.
registered, horn, bell,
Good.
and actually it has a Furuno radar on top of it, which is just the housing.
Thank you for admitting it's just housing.
I just hope I'm available that day to witness that.
Yeah,
It'd be so cool.
yeah, it's really neat. I brought it over to Hudson's Marine. They were tuning up the engine, or they were starting it for the first time actually. And an ambulance drove by, they banged a U-turn, and they just wanted to check it out. They didn't have a patient, they were just interested in seeing what it was.
I would imagine.
So you said you wanted it 1 or 2 days. Do you know what, I know you want sunny days. What days are you thinking?
I'm just thinking a warm
Weekend.
afternoon, sunny in July or August.
The weekend or the week?
Oh, yeah, probably be a weekend to get my brother-in-laws there to help me move it.
So in order for us to approve something like this, we need to have a date certain. That's the whole thing. So we could approve a date certain and then a rain date?
Sure, mid-July and mid-August, or whatever that falls on a Saturday.
Let's look at the calendar.
The 9th and the 16th of July. I think that would be,
Around the 20th would be better in July. Is that a Saturday?
The 19th is a Saturday.
Okay, that works.
The 19th of July is a Saturday and the 26th of July.
Works.
Use those 2 dates?
Sure.
Okay. Any other discussion?
can we get it up on our website, Tracy, to have an announcement of any kind to, if anybody would like to? I think it would be just like a great feature for the town.
Do you want this to be a public event or do you want it to be a private photo op?
Oh, I'm not gonna turn anybody away, I mean,
Yeah, it's on our green.
I'm not asking the newspaper to be there.
You want the paper there?
I'm not asking them to be
Yeah,
there.
I think it's a.
If you guys want it, I have no problem with that.
No,
My grandkid's awfully cute,
No bias.
no bias.
Anything else? Discussion. Jeff, you all set? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, William.
Thank you very much
thank
for
you
your
for your
time, appreciate
patience
it.
with us.
Thanks for coming. All right, you did Steve Fram, you did the Lions Club. Joseph Anderson, Joseph, you've been waiting patiently.
No problem, thank you for having me. I have some photos too that might help, I don't know if you'd want to take a look.
This is your chance to plug your business.
All right, sounds good, pass these to you. Good evening, everyone. For the record, Joseph Anderson. My address is 2A Sandpiper Way in Salisbury, and I'm the owner of
Is this person old enough to drive?
She's probably better than me some days. She's gonna be 9 next month. That's my daughter Lily. So we started a small gelato truck, and when I say small, it's very small. It's
Is it motorized or
it
is it
is, yeah, it's
pedal?
registered, it's insured, it can drive on the road, although people probably honk and drive past you, so we trailer it to events more often than not, but it can get into position wherever it needs to go, and it can drive on the road, but we
God, it's so
we
cute.
typically avoid that. So we're looking to join the Byfield Coffee Company. When they're there, they've been pretty successful. Been friendly with the owner there for a few years. She has a great business. I approached her about us possibly coming down a couple of times a month and joining her business. We use dry ice for our gelato, so no generator, no environmental concerns. We use compostable spoons and cups. We serve artisan gelato that's sourced right here in Massachusetts, all natural ingredients, usually like 4 or 5 ingredients in it. It's been a real big hit. We're in Newburyport a lot, Raleigh Farmers Market hopefully in July if the weather cooperates. There's a photo there, we were just at the Cabot Theater last week, and we actually drove it into the theater, so that's how small it is, just to give you an idea of it.
Right into the theater?
Yeah, right into the theater. Yep, they had a members event there, private event that they wanted us there for. So it's nice. It's something fun and it's unique, like the Byfield Coffee Company truck. Like she restored an old horse trailer. We kind of did the same thing with an Italian Piaggio Ape, which is basically like a Vespa with a truck bed. So looking to go there a couple times a month, join her, and stay away from when it gets too crowded there, because I know Mantis Field can be pretty busy there. So on nice days, weather permitting, when it's not too crowded there, and we don't take up much room.
And of course, we have Newbury Town Day coming up. Will you be participating in that?
I would love to. That's an event that we're definitely looking into.
And then the night before is the car show.
So I just heard the car show. That was the first I've heard of the car show. So that
Very well attended.
That would fit very well in a car show because it's fully restored and it's pretty cool. It's unique. So
Joseph, have you met with the rec committee?
So I haven't. I did send them an email and I haven't heard
see
back
members
from them,
here.
just yet, but
So, I never got the email because it came in the rec committee email, and I know nothing about the rec committee email, so, but that's beside the point. If it had happened, we had a meeting planned for 2 weeks ago, I believe, and we didn't have it for a quorum, so it's gonna be on our coming, I don't see any problem with it, but, we'll have to vote on it, but, I don't see any problem at all. I think it's sort of a procedure vote that we have, so I know that usually we agree and then it goes to you guys, but I don't know if there's a problem going for you guys, condition that the rec committee approves it.
You all just have a problem with your email.
Yeah. Yeah. When the town emails me directly, then I'm able to do it, but
An outside email has its problems getting to the town address.
Yeah,
Talked about that.
I hate to say it, but I don't even know how to open a rec committee email. Like, I wouldn't know how to check it. I don't know if anyone else in our group does.
It's an old link on the website that I think we've talked about either getting rid of or let us get access to it, so.
Yeah, so I basically said, if someone does something, send it to my personal email.
Okay.
So.
Can we, is it okay for us to go through this, for no more questions, is it okay for us to go, to approve this, providing the rec committee meets and says it's okay?
Subject to their
Subject to the approval of the rec committee, so whoever forms the motion, use wordsmith that better than I did, Patrick.
I move that we approve this conditional upon the rec committee getting its email fixed and approving it as well.
Excellent.
I second it.
Any further discussion? None. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Go forth and sell a lot of
Thank you very much, I
gelato.
appreciate it, thank you
Well,
so
and
much.
I
Get your
have
pictures,
to say,
Joseph.
I'm looking forward to
Stop
some
by for some
good
gelato,
gelato.
okay?
Yeah, seriously.
Thank you very much.
Seriously,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Yeah, you must be too.
Yeah.
I'll make sure it's on the agenda. I would. Sorry.
Alicia,
If you can't.
will you take care of the next one for me? I need to recuse myself, I
Yeah,
guess.
do you wanna go up and speak?
We are, and let,
Yeah, take it.
worst case scenarios that we'll wait on. I think
So
we're-
the next item on our agenda is Mr. William DeMayo has a public property use request form for the National Purple Heart Day, a memorial wreath ceremony at the Upper Green on August 7th, 2025, from 7 PM to 7:30.
William DeMayo, 12 Orchard Street, Byfield.
All right, wait a minute, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, discussion.
None.
No,
Can I
Bill.
discuss?
Yeah, Bill's gonna
Okay,
discuss.
this is the third year that we've actually we'll put a wreath together and put it on this year on the Upper Green. It'll be a heart with all purple flowers in it. My wife and I donate that to the town to use. Honestly, last year, there were very few people there. Okay, Bob Haynes was there with his wife. There was a gentleman who came from Boxford, who heard about it from somebody else, and my wife and I. So that was supposed to be a town event for commemorating National Purple Heart Day, which is August 7th. So I'd like to get this advertised a little bit more in the future and continue doing this. It was my,
And a website announcement for the from the town?
Like, we can put it on the calendar, yeah? All right, so I have a motion and a second. Any questions, any discussion from the board? Leslie, any questions?
No?
Jeff?
Did you kind of get a rain out last year or
no.
no?
Did you do it did you do it at the same place every
No.
single year?
First year, we did it at the Upper Green. Second year, we did it at the World War II Monument, at the post office.
Yeah.
Back to the Upper Green.
Okay.
What day of the week is it? August 7th?
August 7th, good question. Good question.
I just should've looked it up instead of asking, sorry.
August 7th is a Thursday.
Is it?
Yeah. Okay,
Thank you very much.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now it's time to review and approve the 2025 new business license certifications. First
See,
one-
Patrick, this is where you're gonna miss out on the fun.
Common Victor, Angelo Giannopoulos Pizza Factory and Market at 29 Plum Island Boulevard.
I motion to approve.
Any discussion?
Is he here? No.
No. All right, hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I don't know.
Another common victor, Tracy and Eric Berger, Mad Martha's Island Cafe, 51
No,
Northern
no,
Boulevard.
this one was skipping.
Oh, we're skipping that one,
Yeah,
sorry.
this one here, that one. No, that one's not, was pulled at the last minute.
Okay. General business, Joel Ouellette, Lola's Landing Marina LLC at 291 High Road. This is an existing business, it's a new owner.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. General business, custom cabinetry, Pedro Prada Custom Cabinetry at 86 Newburyport Turnpike.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. General business bait shop, Edward S. Fontes, Real Easy Custom Rods and Tackle at 291 High Road.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, these are new business license certifications, approved one-day liquor licenses. Sarah Blackstone, doing business, OBO. What's OBO, Tracy?
On behalf of.
Yeah, Sarah.
Yeah, hi.
Excellent. Come
Hi,
up to the
guys.
podium.
Is this?
Hello, how are ya?
You can
Old
introduce
Town
yourself.
Baseball?
Yeah, I'm Sarah Blackstone. I'm from, do I need to say my personal address or just my work address?
Where you're from?
Where you from?
I'm from Haverhill, Mass.
No, why are you
Oh.
here?
I'm from Newfoundland
Dale.
Jail. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we are going to be doing the Essex County Baseball. There are Sunday events that's generally from 12 to about when the game ends. We've been doing it for the past maybe like over 10 years, something like that. I think this is their 15th or 30th anniversary, something like
Is
that.
this the old-fashioned baseball?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty fun.
So you're gonna do just the dates, right?
Yeah, if it's okay, I think I'd just like to read it and just read the dates off and then, vote for them as the block. 5 of them.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay, so I'll just read it. Sarah Blackstone, Ipswich Hill Brewery, Essex Baseball Organization event at Spencer Pierce Little Farm, 5 Littles Lane, Newbury, on June 1st, June 8th, June 15th, June 22nd, and June 29th. I have a motion for those dates, please.
I'll move that.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sarah, congratulations.
Good luck with your
Awesome.
event.
Do I give this to you guys?
Right here.
Okay, great, awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Do I pick them up now or do I have to come back?
You'll come back.
Okay, all right,
She'll
cool.
get them ready.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Leslie, did you vote in favor of that? Did you vote in favor of that?
Yes.
Yes.
Next is the Governor's Academy 2025 reunion at 1 Elm Street, Byfield on June 6th from 6 to 10 p.m. And there's a second one for the Governor's Academy 2025 reunion the next day, June 7th, from 6 to 10 p.m.
Motion to approve both.
Yes, do I have a
I'll
second?
second that.
Any discussion?
I'm just gonna say this is interesting because it's from the last graduating class up until, there'll be 90-year-old people there. So it will be a mixture of people attending these two events. I think it's fun.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Okay, one-day liquor licenses, that's all done. Old business, update on Border to Boston Trail efforts and discussion regarding Border to Boston Committee by Planning Director Kristen Grubbs.
Right on your feet.
Hello.
Right there already.
Hi, Kristen.
Nice to see you all. Okay, I understand that there hasn't been an update on the Board of Boston Trail in quite a while for the select board. And particularly for Patrick, maybe ever.
Yeah.
And hopefully the slides are gonna work.
They're working here, they're just not working there.
I do have people ask me about it.
There we go.
Yes.
Got it?
Here's the slide.
Thank
you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Could go to the next slide. Okay. So the Border to Boston Trail, you probably all know, but it's a regional project that is connecting by trail the New Hampshire, Massachusetts border all the way to Boston, 28-mile trail system. And it's been a project for many, many years. I don't even know when it started, but each town is working to continue the segment. There are a number of partners working on this, and we'll talk a little bit more about what's going on in Newbury. So the segment that runs from the center of Georgetown to Byfield has been underway for, I think, close to 15 years as a project. It was named the project number and is being led by Mass DOT. It's not being led by the town, but obviously we and the town of Georgetown are critical partners and co-leaders with it. But all of the funding to date has come from Mass DOT, from the state, for this project. So when I started working for the town just about 2 years ago, I was curious about this project because being on trails is something I love, and this project really had gotten stalled because of COVID. So right in March 2020, my understanding is the town was about to go forward with a design public hearing for the 25% design plans for this segment, again from The center of Georgetown to the center of Byfield is the segment, but obviously about a third of that is the section in Newbury from the town line to Byfield. But the public hearing was never held, took a while to get this project going again. So over the last year and a half, Martha Taylor, previous planning director, and I have been working with Mass DOT to try to encourage this to get going again. So here we are. The project length for this segment is 3.3 miles. Next slide, please. We just, Mass DOT just held their public hearing for these 25% designs. Essentially, what had to happen over the last year was the wetlands delineation for this segment had expired because wetland delineations are good for 3 years. So all of that needed to be updated. In addition, the engineering firm working on this segment had to take the wetlands delineation and put them back into the design plan. So there's been a lot of sort of behind the scenes work by the contract engineers and wetland scientists on this corridor. So the 25% design plans were updated. We held a public hearing. It was a virtual hearing. We did do a lot of outreach and got it on the town website, that invitation. The slides for that public hearing are on the town website, on the Board of Boston Trail Committee webpage. In addition, Mass DOT is sending the actual video of that public hearing, and we'll update that video as well. So thanks Mass DOT for many of these slides, which I've repurposed for tonight. This public hearing went through the details of how we've gotten here and updated the community on what the next steps are. So go ahead to the next slide, please. The existing conditions of this segment of trail is, a lot of it looks like that photo. I'm not sure if that's actually Georgetown or Newbury, but it's essentially the National Grid utility corridor, which runs along the former railroad bed. So it's a mix of, people use this area. There's a lot of dog walkers, bikers. I've been out there with horse riders and cyclists and motorized bikes, all sorts of different informal use. But it's essentially like that. It's pretty overgrown and a skinny kind of single track. So, and then the Newbury segment in particular runs right along the Parker River, sort of near River Street and Forest Street in Byfield. And there's been various there's a lot of beavers in there. So the wetlands are quite movable. They're in flux often. So the wetlands work in this area is really important. It's obviously important as wildlife habitat considerations for the trail, and just in terms of permitting, there'll be some significant considerations related to the wetlands. Next slide, please. Let's see, so this kind of identifies why we need improvements along this segment of trail. And if you go to the next slide, I think, there's some more. That slide, that image on the right is right near River Street, where there are active beavers. Next slide, please.
Question, may I ask you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or do you, can I go through them and then we'll have discussion?
Sure.
Does that work? Okay. Just because maybe I'll answer your question, Leslie, but I did want to have a short discussion after I get through the slides. The goal of the Board of Boston project is to create what's called a shared use path, and the goal of a shared use path is to have permanent, multimodal, accessible recreational corridor for the communities, and to modify locally the trail corridor in the context of this broader, New Hampshire to Boston segment. So there are a lot of questions, we have some members of the rec committee here who I'll invite into the discussion at the end, but there's a lot of considerations that local communities can engage in terms of what kinds of uses and what kinds of access, things like parking, rest areas, access to businesses that might be near the corridor. In particular, like, do we want users of this trail segment to easily be able to get to the Byfield Mini Mart to get a drink, for instance? So there's lots of ways that local input is really important to this process. Next slide, I guess. And this is a typical cross-section for the trail. So again, you can see the change of where we were in the existing conditions photograph of the skinny, kind of overgrown trail to the goal, which is similar to the Clipper City Rail Trail or in Salisbury, all of the rail trails, including bridges over Route 1 and other important considerations to make the connectivity actually work. When there are environmentally sensitive areas, the trail can be skinnier, and when they're not, it can be wider. So all of that is taken into consideration. Slide. So I have paper copies of the 25% design plans in my office. In addition, we will be, when Mass DOT gives me the digitized 25% plans, we'll be able to make the close-up slides available for people. But you can see at the top there that Newbury has several bridges that will have to get built. And then in particular, I think it's gonna be important for the town to think carefully about where the trail crosses Central Street and Main Street in the downtown area of center of Byfield. But again, this segment that has had this particular work done only extends to Church Street. Next slide. And here's a little bit of a closer look at the current plans for that crossing I just mentioned. Again, it's following the National Grid utility corridor, but it does have to have a safe crossing across the page intersection area.
Whereabouts is that?
Where is that?
Post office is in
Just
this
right
corner.
in the Central Street, Main Street intersection. So yeah, the post office is the bottom kind of corner of the
hub.
slide.
The hub.
The hub, yeah. That's our downtown, yeah. Okay, next slide, please. And then just a little more detail about the bridges. They will be rebuilt with consideration of the historic, stone structure, and will be built up high to make sure there's no impact on the waterways underneath. Safety considerations. Next slide. In particular, there's a lot of questions about the right-of-way. So the 25% design plans include a preliminary look at ownerships and right-of-way. Most of the Newbury, this particular segment in Byfield is under ownership of National Grid, but there is some private ownership questions. So all of that will be in this next phase that we're moving into. All of the right-of-way plans and drawings are available for public review and comment. And then, as you can see at the bottom, the right-of-way process has not been finalized. So again, this is sort of the important period of time for the town and our residents to really start looking at the plans and make sure we know how to move forward with consideration of all the abutters and the property owners. There's a bunch of permits required for this kind of work. That's just a sampling. And And then I think I'm close to the end, next slide. Yep, so here we are, we're in a public comment period. The town as an entity can submit public comments, any individuals can submit public comments. Then Mass DOT will move with the support of the towns, Byfield and, or Newbury and Georgetown together to get to the 75% design plans phase. And then eventually by spring, summer of 2026, which is that's a pretty fast timetable. So we're hopeful this will continue on to get to 100% submission, and then construction would start in 2027. The reason this time frame is important is because many years ago, the state put money for construction into the TIP, into the Regional Transportation Program. So Newbury has had this, earmarked funding for the construction for several years, since the late 2010s. And it keeps just getting kind of pushed ahead. So it would be great to not lose this state funding. I don't think there's any chance of that. People want this project to succeed, but it is something that we need to just make sure we don't lose. Okay, so that's that project. Really briefly, I'm just gonna, and this is a number of the project team. There's been, project managers have changed over the years for Mass DOT, but our current project manager is great, Joseph Yu. And then there's a whole sort of team of people who are working on this. I will say, in the time I've been working on this, it's felt kind of like it's all on planning. So I'm really excited to open up this discussion and think about the ways that we can, give broader support and keep the momentum going on this. Last thing, people say, okay, we get to Byfield, how do we get north? So that was one of my first questions about it. And so far, the segment from Byfield to Newburyport is really just a line on the map. And if we could zoom in on what's there, you would see that there's an on-road trail, which is the way the trail currently exists, is if you want to get there, you have to travel on the roads that exist. But there's a proposal for an off-road trail. Next slide. Oh, sorry, here's the information about public comments. So this will be available on the website as well, on the town website. Next slide, here we go. So to get from Byfield to Newburyport, the goal is to connect to transit. So the sort of end point for this particular segment would be the MBTA station and the Clipper City Rail Trail. So far, the work that has been done on this was completed. There was a very preliminary feasibility alternatives study done by Mass DOT in 2021. I don't know if the select board was involved in that. I don't think it had any, the work was mostly by the contracted transportation engineers. There wasn't any particular public input that I've heard about yet. So looking forward, my recommendation that the town really needs to make sure that the next work that's done includes public input and discussion about where the alternatives are. So next slide, please. The good news is Newbury was the recipient of an earmark a few years ago, or 2 years ago. It originally was to be used for the Byfield Georgetown segment to create a elevated boardwalk over some of the wetlands. But when the wetlands delineation work was updated, it's been determined now that that boardwalk is not needed. So this town has in hand $250,000. So the proposal is to use that funding to move forward on this other segment, Byfield to Newburyport. And what that project would be is looking at a feasibility study of the possible trail alignment. We have some choices to make here in Byfield to get from Church Street north. And then if the trail continues along Scotland Road, there's a lot of analysis that needs to be done there. As those of us who know Scotland Road are aware, it's a very wide road, but it has truck traffic, it has industrial park traffic, it has a high speed right now. So there are just a lot of questions to kind of start diving into what the questions are, what the information is, start looking at right-of-ways, the road layout, wetland resources, where would there be constraints, where are there opportunities to get a trail connection, in just even moving towards the 25% design plans. I think we're really early on with the work. I don't think this funding that we have would probably even get us to 25% design plans, but it would at least allow a really deeper dive than has been done yet into where the opportunities are and where the challenges are. And then the community would know, okay, this is the most feasible alternative, and we would continue to move forward with Mass DOT's support and other partners' support to identify that alternative route. So I think that is the last slide. The final thing I'd say, and then happy to answer questions, is as most of you know, there was an appointed Board of Austin committee previously, but I don't believe it's met since before COVID. So the question, I've been starting to talk with other people, are where's the town working on trails? Where's the town working on recreation? And is this project appropriate to potentially land with the rec committee, with the open space committee, with the select board, with a new revitalized Board of Boston committee? Those are the questions I've been starting to think about, and I wanted to discuss and answer any questions. I don't think anything needs to be decided tonight, but I think it would be useful if the town had sort of a landing place for this project. Leslie, you had a question, but
Yes.
Hopefully you still remember it.
I do, gratefully. It's my understanding that from Byfield going into the Georgetown area, so Forest Street and River Street, there's turtles down there that are kind of an endangered species. Would that impact, or are we going to somehow work around that?
Yeah, I think that is something that's known and very much a part of the discussions that I've been a part of about this project. In general, the Parker River is a significant habitat, but in particular that the turtle population is their nesting areas. So I think that where that comes into play is with things like reducing the width of the corridor,
to give
allowing
them-
habitat, allowing the important habitat to still be protected. And that's part of the very extensive permitting requirements related to this trail. So I think it is a part of the discussion, but they're complicated issues in some cases. So so that's an important one to keep in mind.
Just, it's just something to take into consideration, to do the right thing, have your trail and protect the habitat as well.
Yeah, I think it's very important. And I do think the meetings I've been a part of, that's been very much at the forefront of an important issue.
Listen, do these, does the final design have to be built to standards for heavy truck to repair the lines?
The bridges are built
The-
to hold a utility truck.
That's what I
Yes.
figured, so.
But there's
Yes.
access to every one of those by either Georgetown.
Yep.
So there's,
They could come in from Thurlow.
yeah,
as
Thurlow
well,
to go either way, and then
Would they
if
be
not,
similar
Greta.
to the bridge that was put in down off of Main Street on where they put in the solar farm
I don't
that
know.
went over?
Yeah,
That's
I
an
haven't seen
iron,
that.
I'm not, I've seen that, I don't think looks like that.
Big, yeah.
If you, the
Because
new-
that was specifically built to handle large equipment.
Yeah. There's a new trail in Groveland, which I think is, it's almost identical. This project's gonna look just like that. The bridge is 12 foot wide with railings, and it's actually being built on the old piers from the granite piers for the old railroad track bridges. So it's not, they're just placing. yeah,
They
that-
actually come in and
Back when Moore
drop like
Tracy-
a fully assembled structure.
I think they're a
onto
little
that
more
area.
attractive than the iron one up by the solar farm,
Yeah.
in my mind, but. It was the cross section right after the picture of River Street. No,
This one?
no. No, I'm lost. You spun me around too many times.
Right here. This one?
Well, that's actually, so that would be like the piers from the old train bridge.
That's
So that's just,
between
it's a
River-
trestle going over the top of the two.
That's right
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
River
it's River and
Street.
Forest.
Yeah, and on top would be the cross section of the, what the bridge would look like.
Kristen, has Mass DOT built any bridges over any highways for this project?
In Salisbury,
Yeah.
the trail goes over Route 1,
Yeah.
if you've driven that north of
Comes off of True
Salisbury.
Street,
Mass
Yeah.
DOT paid for that?
yeah.
They're building one at Lowell Street in Peabody too.
Yeah.
To connect, so you don't have to go on Lowell Street. That's soon. Where Mr. Peanut used to be.
Cause I know when you go up to Maine, they have that trail that comes across the
Yes, yeah.
highway there, and that's, I mean,
Yeah,
I've been down from the train station, you can ride pretty close to the highway through the wildlife, but I don't know, is that totally not an option because it's a wildlife preserve, or is it?
in Newbury.
Yeah,
That preliminary feasibility study I mentioned looked at the right of way of 95.
Yeah.
Between Ale Prime and Scotland Road.
right,
On this west side of 95, and then going along Scotland Road, like getting over
Yeah.
95 by getting under 95 at that
but they
location.
didn't consider going through the utility line that's already there.
Through Martin Burns.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has been looked at, and my understanding at the moment is that Fish and Mass Wildlife has said they will not allow the trail to go there. I don't know, like I don't have a report or a vote or anything that actually documents that conclusion, so that's certainly a question I've had, because it's worth making sure we pick the route that meets the most goals.
But they're not thinking about going over 95, they're talking about going on the west side of 95. So the idea, the concept of having a bridge going over 95 is off the table.
I have not heard people talking about that recently, but again, without an actual report, it feels to me like it's worth still talking about. But at the moment, and Mass DOT hasn't said that this won't become a Mass DOT project, but at the moment, this funding is available and it feels like we should keep moving forward. So I do think these are the kinds of questions that I don't know the answers to yet.
Martin Burns, they hunt in there.
Yes.
Yes.
They do.
I think that might be a reason why they don't want it, but.
The funny thing about that is I've talked to people out in our section of the wildlife management, and what I was told by one of the officers, he said, it is everyone's land, so you just have to be prepared and wear orange, but you have just as much right on it. This is what I was told, you have just as much as right as the hunters, so. And I could see there might be some pushback. And
Well,
on that topic,
that was part of the discussion when they submitted for the, 61B off of Pearson, that it was so close to Martin Burns that it could be problematic, so.
That's because weapons can't discharge close to residences. So,
as far as the recreation committee goes, we haven't talked it as a group yet, but if that is something that I think that we might be interested in helping out whatever we can.
so Kristen, what's your ask of us tonight? Is it that you wanna know how to move forward with the Borders to Boston?
Well, I mean, the question came up of whether the Board of Boston Trail a committee would be appointed again with this time of year that all the committee appointments are being made. So I don't know if the select board has an opinion on that. I think there's certainly community interest in trails. But I think at the moment that interest is represented by several members of the rec committee. And I know they have other charges and other projects, and it's, it's kind of a balancing, I think, of whether the Board of Boston needs its own committee that would then need to post meetings and have members and make sure we have enough members, that it's a productive discussion, or whether it could, at the moment anyway, be appropriate for the rec committee to kind of wrap their arms around supporting this project until some future date when maybe the work elevates. I think this is a long-term project. Even after things are constructed, the town needs to be a participant in management and stewardship, and there are trail committees that have landscaping experts or to support DPW and any kind of maintenance. So it's a long-term effort by the town, but I guess the question to you all is to think about, where should this live? Is it appropriate to include it in the rec committee or not?
I had approached Kristen and said, this is a forever project. I Board of the Boston Trail Committee would live 4 or 5 years, but I mean, we're in charge of the stewardship of that, rules, regulations, parking, etc. It's a forever project. This is gonna be an asset of the town. And I thought it was a natural fit for the rec committee, who has clerks and post meetings and etc. So
Yeah, it did go to the wayside. I know when I was sitting on the planning board, it was, a topic at that time. But it just, it dissolved after a certain period of time. I would like to see it to get back up and running and,
So the Borders to
continuation.
The Borders to Boston, I have the appointments books here. I have going back to Borders of Boston was a committee back in 2020, so pre-COVID. And I have a note that we weren't gonna reappoint them. That's probably because of COVID. But where you have your own funding source, and are you gonna be working with, like Borders to Boston, do you work with other Borders to Boston in Georgetown or Borders to Boston in other communities? Do they have their own other?
I think, I think in Georgetown, there's a trails committee, not specifically Board of Boston, where there's a committee chair who's been on some meetings. I don't know, I think it's still supported by the town manager and the planning department, in addition to the volunteer trail committee. I know in Salisbury, to your point, those trails have been in place for a while, and my understanding anecdotally is there was a member of the select board who was absolutely incredibly focused advocate on getting those trails built. And it, you know, he's still involved in the Coastal Trails Coalition, which is a nonprofit organization. So I do think the more local support and advocacy, that really squeaky wheel gets the grease. And it really took, I would say, not at all meaning anything personal about this, but when I joined Martha Taylor, I was able, as a new hire, to really focus on this. And that's what got this out into where we are at least moving again. So I guess the point is, it helps to have people who are very active advocates about it. And I do think presently, I don't have a lot of people coming to me clamoring to be on a Board of Boston committee, but I do have a lot of people talking to me about trails, and I think most of those people have been reaching out to the rec committee as a place to go to help with that work.
That is on the website though, as far as volunteerism. And, you know, nobody's picking up on it, but.
I know that it may not fall under what we, you know, our oversight is supposed to be Kent Way and Central Street.
Well, I have your here. This is the Newbury Rec Committee.
Yep.
The charge, the town of Newbury recognizes recreational opportunities as an important aspect toward the overall quality of life in our community. As adopted, the Newbury Recreation Committee members will use the following as a guideline, their mission statement. The town of Newbury Recreation Committee's mission is to provide safe, well-maintained parks and open space and provide activities that can be used to enhance the quality of life for all residents of Newbury and visitors to our community. The charge of the Newbury Recreation Committee is to provide the residents of Newbury with a wide range of recreational opportunities. In addition to the Recreation Committee, in conjunction with the town administrator and other committees, will identify opportunities to develop new areas for recreation and bring proposals before the Select Board. The Newbury Recreation Committee shall consist of the following members appointed by the Select Board, no more than 7 at-large members. 1 at-large member to be set aside for a rising Newbury High School junior or senior. The liaison to a Board of Selectmen is a non-voting member. That actually, we need to amend that because we can't sit on any boards or committees.
We can't.
So that's why that's not there.
So would this
Non-voting members
become,
include the chairman of the Open Space Committee and the director of the Newbury Council on Aging. So you have your director of Newbury Council on Aging. Do you have somebody from the Open Space on your committee as well?
No. No
Is
one's,
the Open Space Committee active now?
Yes.
Yes.
I think both the rec committee has been supporting the open space committee and the
Yeah.
open space committee has been supporting the rec committee without there being any formal appointments. But there's a fair amount of communication at the moment.
And I think the other thing we talked about was expanding our committee, pick up a couple of people from the cycle committee, or maybe people from the old committee who was still interested in the Borders to Boston, maybe bring them onto recreation as an option as well.
yeah, our thought was, or not, my thought, and I think John probably agrees, we need a cleansing because we have been focusing so much on Central Street. That's what we live, breathe. Patrick's been through it. And it would be nice to have something fresh air, somewhere else we can, you know, again, I don't know if it works with you guys legally, but if it does, it would be for us just to it would breathe something new into us.
Well, having attended some of the Recreation Committee meetings, that my takeaway is you feel that you're constricted to just one project. I think this would be a great project for the Rec Committee to, you know, reach out and get involved with this, as well as, you know, just taking care of, you know, Manta Field, Central Park, whatever you wanna call it.
Yeah, we're at the point, I believe, that we're on track we have a set goals, and I think that our next project is not gonna be anything that's gonna break our backs, as far as time and effort. So we have an idea, but it's up to you guys how you do it, but it would be a sort of a nice fresh air change for us. Again,
It would be so creative and so challenging at the same time for the rec committee to take care of something like this without having to depend on people just coming out of the woodwork to volunteer to take the project on, because they're not. So it would
Mr.
be.
Chairman, why don't I make a recommendation that we take this under advisement, look at the charges of what the committees are, and add it to an upcoming agenda when we make appointments.
It sounds reasonable.
Yeah, agreed.
do you have any problem with me bringing it up in the next meeting? Just a thought idea how other people may think about it, other the committee
Just to
members?
get a consensus.
Or do you want us to just lay low until you guys
Well,
decide?
this is a public meeting, everything is public, so I
No, I'm
think-
saying,
yeah.
should I bring it up officially in the next meeting, or should
Well, you
we
can tell them,
wait?
yeah, that the select board is considering,
Okay,
because we are.
You meeting Monday, David?
yeah.
Yeah.
I would also just, the one thing I forgot to mention is with the work that's underway for the town to update the open space and recreation plan,
Right.
which is, we had a great kudos to the open space committee and many members of the rec committee who supported that public meeting. It was really well attended, and there's the survey work going on, and we're right in the middle of that. And that's taken some work to get that committee really active and focused on that project again. So I do think the timing is good, because when that plan starts being drafted in terms of, you know, the actions and goals and a timeline for the open space and recreation projects, that'll be a place to really look at the trails and think about you know, where we want to get by, it's a 10-year plan. And that's probably a good match for what the Board of Boston Trail will be, in my opinion. That would be great if we get it all built in 10 years. So just the timing is good to kind of think about how these two committees that are working together would continue to work together. So that's it. Yep.
Kristen, thanks,
Yep.
thanks very much.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Okay, next is Whittier updates and vote to approve the Massachusetts School Board Authority correspondence. In your package that you got last Thursday, there was a letter addressed to Maureen Lynch. Okay, and I'm sure you all read it, but I'm reading it for the public who's watching it live and will watch it on video. It's dated June 1st, 2025. Dear Superintendent Lynch, we, the undersigned representatives of the 11 cities and towns that comprise the Whittier Regional Vocational Technical High School District, WT, having formed a Whittier Tech at NECC Municipal Working Group, have reviewed the recently released Donahue Institute report and recommendations regarding a potential shared campus site for Whittier Tech and Northern Essex Community College. I've talked about this at several past select board meetings. Recognize the tremendous opportunity for cost savings, expanded access to career and technical education, and post-secondary education and training such a shared campus could provide. We have reviewed the letter to you dated December 13th, 2024 from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, in which the MSBA invites an eligibility period letter from Whittier Regional Vocational Technical School District pursuant to the statement of interest in order to proceed to the eligibility period for the reference project. This is why we're talking about this tonight. The MSBA requires that the district provide it with confirmation from each member municipality confirming its willingness to take 3 specified actions. And the actions are important. This shall confirm that the 11 undersigned municipalities are prepared to do the following: create a new Whittier Regional Vocational Technical School District agreement. That agreement was formed in 1967, pre-Proposition 2.5. It needs to change. There was resistance from Haverhill once upon a time. All 11 communities, municipalities are prepared to sign this document. That's why we're talking about it tonight, and that's why we're looking for a vote tonight. We need to pledge to support the district during the feasibility study phase to examine both the existing site of the Whittier Regional Vocational Technical High School and the possible relocation of the Whittier Regional Vocational Technical High School to the Haverhill campus of NECC as described in a statement of interest. The feasibility study that was already, this is not in the letter, the feasibility study that was done for the original project that we voted on that was soundly defeated at the ballot is the same study they'll present. It's not gonna change. The real feasibility study will be done on the combination or the possible merger of Northern Essex Community College with Whittier on the site. Lastly, proceed with the understanding that a feasibility study conducted in accordance with MSBA's eligibility period invitation will not be eligible for MSBA reimbursement, and that 100% of the cost of such feasibility study will be borne by the district. That study was estimated by Whittier and NECC to be $2.5 million, okay? I have letters from Northern Essex Community College and Whittier. They are providing $500,000 each, which is $1 million towards the $2.5 million cost of that feasibility study. It will be incumbent on the other 11 municipalities to come up with the last $1.5 million, okay? I think that the timeline for that doesn't impact us until 2027, and it's about $25,000 at that time. It's not major money. So what we're looking to do tonight is to allow us to say, let's proceed with this. Let's have authorize Tracy to sign this document at the June 16th meeting, where all 11 communities, municipalities are prepared to sign the document and launch it, okay?
So there'll be solidarity.
It has to be, there has to be solidarity, and it's the right thing to do. Is because of the synergy of moving Whittier to that campus, it's a tremendous amount of savings in terms of construction, infrastructure. It's good for the students, gives them opportunities that they really don't have now. It sets this up as a facility that's rather unique in Massachusetts. There are similar places like this in Colorado, I think. In fact, they're planning maybe a field trip to go and see that in operation. But it has the attention of the governor and the lieutenant governor. They're interested in moving this forward, very much so, and my opinion is it's the right thing to do, so.
So I move that we direct the town administrator to sign the statement of interest for Whittier Regional Vocational Technical High School MSBA project.
No, second.
Any discussion, questions?
So when they say support the district during the feasibility study, that's what they're talking about, is this financial support?
It's the money, yeah, the
So
financial
the
support.
town of Newbury, it's only 25,000.
Right.
I'm just curious, how did they determine that? Based on the original agreement from 1967?
Yes, I think so.
It's gotta be students.
The capital formula that
Yeah.
exists now.
Yeah. To be more precise, it's 24,000 in 2020, fiscal year 27 and 28.
24,000?
24,225.
Okay. Okay.
Any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Town administrator report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, just a quick town meeting recap. With the passage of the override, we now have a balanced budget. So we're ready to begin fiscal year 2026, which will begin July 1. But before we do that, the finance department is focusing most of their efforts now on closing, wrapping up 2025 and closing, so we'll be doing that through the summer, working with the FinCom in July for any reserve fund transfers that may be necessary, year-end transfers. And then in terms of project updates, the town landing project is complete. We just wrapped up the library roof project. The playground is complete and was opened on April 30th. The fields were opened on April 23rd. There's a little bit of concern there because we had such a wet spring, so we couldn't open them. We had conversations with the rec committee about potentially setting a more realistic opening date, like May 1st, and then
Because we get
if
monsoon
it's,
season now.
yeah, if it's sunny and you can open it early, great, you know?
You can't, right.
So that was something that we had discussed because it seems to be a problem every year for the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So, but it's open now. Let's see, what else have we got? The lower grade schoolhouse, you heard them tonight. The window project is done, the roof project, both of them are complete. We'll be turning most of our efforts now to completing the elementary school roof project. We're in the final phase where we got funding at town meeting. And then we'll start addressing the renovations and repairs that were identified by the Habib report for the interior conditions assessment at the elementary school. And I think with the funding we received, we're gonna start working on flooring. That seemed to be a priority for the facilities director there. We'll also focus on both the Newbury Elementary School and the library HVAC projects. Those are gonna be over 2 years. And we've got Morgan Ave Fire Station project, so that hasn't kicked off yet. The primary concern is plumbing, but the money that we have appropriated won't address all of the plumbing issues, but I think they're gonna, the chief's gonna work with the DPW director to kind of focus it into the most pressing issues, and we'll start there.
Can they grant write for that?
You can grant write, I haven't seen anything in quite a while for facilities like that. We have lots for equipment and those types of things and personnel, but I haven't seen anything for facilities. We can reach out to our legislators and see if there's anything coming down the pipe that they're aware of, but not to my knowledge.
Okay.
No. The website project is underway. We have a pre-launch meeting July 1st. And, you know, the hope is to have it soon into the new fiscal year that we would unveil the new website. Hopefully it will be more intuitive. We'll have the opportunity for more managers to have direct access to it, so information will get out more timely. We'll see. What we've seen so far in the demos, it looks a lot easier to navigate. But again, it's up to each of the managers to put the information onto the site, so.
What community is it modeled on, do you know?
Well, none. We looked at all of the communities and we picked what we liked from each one, so it doesn't look like.
So it's built?
I can't point you to any one and say that's what it's gonna look like, cause we took bits and pieces that we thought were
Would work for Newbury.
most attractive, that would work for us. Yep.
Okay.
So appointments, as you've discussed tonight, we have a number of openings on all of our various boards and committees. Agricultural Commission, we need a member and an alternate. The Border to Boston Trail Committee, assuming you're gonna reinvigorate that. Conservation Commission, Council on Aging, Cultural Council, Finance Committee, Historical Commission, Human Resources Board has an opening, the Planning Board needs an associate member, and the Zoning Board of Appeals needs an associate member. So there are quite a few openings. We'll push out some more information on those.
Is there
Neighbors
any
and
way we
friends.
can like, you know, I think that many of us that sit on this board right now would entertain the idea of sitting on like, and to be like the associate or something like that to, but we're locked into not being able to participate. which is unfortunate.
Correct. It's unusual, honestly, that it, in a lot of communities, select board service representatives. And that's how the information goes back and forth, right?
Yeah, because the sharing part of the information coming would stand out so much clearer.
Amend your bylaws, I mean, that's, or your act, that's the only opportunity to make those changes at this point. We had, and anyone interested in any of those positions is encouraged to contact the select board for any details. The bid opening for the Byfield Fire Station lease happened last week. The only proposal we received was one for $90,000. It was received from the.
Is that up by 20,000?
Yes. That allows us to lease about 5,100 square feet of the fire bays for the sole purpose of storage of equipment owned by the town and the fire company. The lease proposal was for 3 years. We've previously had 5-year leases with them. As you know, town meeting appropriated $72,100, so we don't have enough. So we're going to need to discuss how to proceed. I can't award a contract without funds available, obviously. June 10th, I think the executive session is scheduled. So we'll be able to talk about that in more detail then.
When you said just the bays, I mean, do
First,
firemen have access to showers and everything? I mean,
With the company's approval, with their permission, they can use some of the other building, but the fee we pay is for the lease of the 5,100 square feet base.
crazy, right?
Does Chief Evans have use of the office?
No.
I think the president of the fire company maintains the chief's office, but I do know he's talked about an office. So there's somewhere there that he uses, yep.
And that's not in the new proposal?
No. So, let's see, what else have I got? So MMA, has put out some information about outlining municipal budget pressures at their local aid hearings over the last few months. You may have been privy to some of those emails that have been going around, but it's nothing that we're not aware of, that we haven't advocated for in the past. Chapter 70 increases, trying to reach higher levels of education spending within, the confines of Prop 2.5 just is impossible now. So that big push for that, 3% increase in discretionary municipal aid, Chapter 70 numbers, we need to get them earlier in the budget process because, as of right now, we still don't have final numbers. And their debate was happening throughout the month of April and May, so more to come on that. The police department and the Newbury COA and Newburyport Bank hosted instructors from the FBI Elder Justice Initiative, and it was geared towards conversations about financial fraud, targeting senior citizens, and training them to recognize scams, and in the event that you are scammed, to report it quickly. I think some of us probably tend to be embarrassed when it happens to us, like my 19-year-old son this morning. But yet you have to tell, you have to report it to your agencies or your parents immediately, to take, so that they can get some assistance with that. They had, I think they said, over 20 participants, so it was very well attended, and they received a lot of takeaways, including guard your ID and stamps for shredding, when shredding's unavailable, so you can hide your personal information.
That's why we have wood stove.
Well, that works too, So that's pretty much what's happened since April.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot, yeah.
Thank you, Tracy.
You're welcome.
I think the only correspondence was a letter from X Infinity And for the interest of time, I'm not gonna read it. The customs were advised of what the changes are, and I think that's,
Yeah, for
that
adult
right.
programming.
Yeah, there you go. Next would be meeting updates. Does anyone have any meeting updates?
The DCC met. Did you go, Leslie?
I did not.
Jeff, were you there? Okay,
Not much that
not much
No,
happened.
it was, from what I understand, it was a goodbye ceremony for the summer and see you at the beginning of the year. But I will say, I attended, Patrick was there, Bill was there. We attended the Memorial Day parade yesterday and Monday. And
Yeah, yesterday.
Yesterday,
It's
I
it's a
mean,
long
yeah,
time
really.
ago, wasn't it?
I wasn't aware of that.
no,
No.
it was beautiful.
Illinois sent me an email with just an attachment that had information about the parade. I probably should have forwarded it to you, but I didn't have the
that's
presence
okay.
of mind.
That's all right,
It
thank you.
was really great that there was a young girl and she sang the Star Spangled Banner. How about her voice? Was
the boy and girl?
outstanding.
the
She didn't
blue-
need a microphone.
Little girl did play taps.
And-
Yeah, that was great.
Was it Dan
Yeah,
Valiente's daughter
tabs.
that sang? Dan Valiente's daughter? Did he?
No, that didn't look like her. I didn't.
Richard Keys was like the ceremonial host, you could say, and very well attended. And when we did our little parade around, it's so nostalgic of old New England, how the people come out and stand on their front lawns and they have their flags and their kids and they really enjoy it. So it, short and sweet, was great. Next year, I will help to get the word out. Did anybody see what Georgetown did?
No.
Amazing. So on every one of the street poles, they have a veteran's picture and a little summary of who they are throughout the town. It's amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
Any other meeting updates? Meeting updates? None. Review and approve the meeting minutes from 4/29/25.
That was the meeting before town meeting. I make a motion to approve minutes of April 29th.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain from that because I wasn't there.
We have warrants to sign. Could I have a motion to sign warrants?
I'll move to sign warrants.
Second.
Any discussion? None. All those in favor?
Yeah, how'd I
Aye.
get sucked into being clerk again?
You wanted to.
That's right.
No, I got something very easy. Let's see. I move that the select board enter into executive session pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to discuss library collective bargaining language because an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of this body. I move it. Can I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote. Jeff Walker?
Jeff Walker, yes.
Leslie Matthews, yes.
Bill DeMayo, yes.
Alicia Greco, yes?
Patrick Heffernan, yes.
Okay, this meeting will not reconvene at the conclusion of executive session.